Cristiano Ronaldo, ego. Ronaldo doesn't play football. He performs a one-man show called greatness. From the moment he showed up at Manchester United with frosted tips and teenage swagger, you could already tell this kid wasn't built for the background. He trained harder than anyone, shouted louder than anyone, and celebrated like every goal deserved a parade. That confidence built an empire, and it also built the problem that follows him everywhere: ego. His hunger for validation turned into a mission to outshine everyone around him. At Real Madrid, he scored more goals than some clubs manage in a decade, yet the headlines he chased most weren't always about records. They were about being the man. When teammates celebrated, he checked the scoreboard and his stats. When managers rotated the squad, he saw betrayal. The obsession with legacy made him unstoppable in his prime, but it left no space for compromise. Every exit carried the same smoke. United ended in a TV rant, Juventus ended in frustration, and Madrid only looked peaceful because trophies muffled the noise. The ego that fueled his dominance also burned every bridge on the way out. Even at Al Nassr, he demands the same reverence he had in Madrid. Same pre-match rituals, same spotlight. However, you can't deny the impact. 5 Ballon d'Or, 5 Champions Leagues, and over 900 goals. But his greatest rival was never Messi, it was the mirror. Every time he stared into it, he saw a legend he refused to outgrow. Kylian Mbappé, power. By 19, he was a World Cup winner. By 23, he was deciding who should take penalties, where he should play, and possibly who should sit next to him at PSG's dinner table. He's the first footballer who managed to turn a dressing room into a democracy with himself as president. You see, when Mbappé renewed his contract in 2022, the world called it the player power deal. Reports said it gave him influence over transfers, coaches, and maybe even catering. That extension was more like a royal decree, the kind where Paris agreed to orbit around Kylian's wishes. For a moment, he was PSG's project. The issue? Power is addictive. Once you get it, you don't go back to being just another name on the lineup sheet. Even France felt it. He clashed with the National Federation over image rights, publicly challenged Neymar on penalties, and turned post-match interviews into subtle flex sessions. Behind that smile and composure is a player who's learned to treat football like chess. Everyone else moves, he controls the board. Now he's at Real Madrid, a club that already worships superstars. The challenge now is coexistence. Can he share oxygen with another galaxy of egos? Or does the throne only feel right when he's sitting alone? Well, only time will tell. Jack Grealish, lifestyle. Ever since his Aston Villa days, he's looked like football's version of a rock star. Socks halfway down, hair perfectly out of place, shin guards smaller than common sense. He plays like he's late to a festival and dribbles like the ball owes him money. When Manchester City paid over £100 million for him, people expected constant magic. What they got was a mix of brilliance and nightlife headlines. A title winner by day, a paparazzi magnet by night. Videos of him stumbling out of Ibiza clubs travel faster than his assist stats. Yet somehow, fans still adore him because that chaos feels authentic. He doesn't act polished or robotic. He acts like someone who never quite realized he's supposed to calm down now that he's rich. Pep Guardiola's system nearly short-circuited him. All the tactical diagrams, the rotations, the don't lose the ball speeches, that's football school. Jack's more recessed than classroom. Over time, Pep drilled discipline into him, and for a stretch, he became City's reliable left-wing worker bee. But once the champagne was uncorked after the treble, the real Jack reappeared, singing on parade buses, dancing with beer cans, fully leaning into his celebrity side quest. For Grealish, the lifestyle was part of the brand. The danger is when the party drowns out the purpose. He's got everything a Premier League star dreams of: trophies, talent, and the spotlight. The only question is whether he'll keep performing for the fans on the pitch or for the cameras outside the club. At Everton on loan, he might be doing that. Jude Bellingham, spotlight. Every generation gets one player who feels like he's been fast-forwarded through life. For this one, it's Jude Bellingham. At 16, he was captaining Birmingham. By 20, he's the face of Real Madrid, England's midfield, and half of Europe's highlight reels. The spotlight sprinted straight into him, waved, and told it to turn the brightness up. At Borussia Dortmund, he was already bossing grown men twice his age. Coaches praised his maturity, pundits called him a leader, and the internet crowned him a superstar before his first legal drink. That hype followed him to Madrid, where he started scoring goals like he'd been rehearsing at the Bernabeu since childhood. Every touch, every celebration, every glance at the crowd became a viral moment. The problem is that fame has no off switch. One quiet game turns into, what's wrong with Bellingham? One frustrated gesture becomes a headline. Even his post-match hugs get analyzed like state secrets. The spotlight that once powered his rise now trails him like a personal moon, constant, blinding, and impossible to escape. Inside Madrid's locker room, he's surrounded by stars and legends, but somehow, all eyes still go to him. He carries England's hopes, Madrid's next-generation branding, and the weight of comparisons he never asked for. It's a lot to balance for someone barely old enough to rent a car. His talent is undeniable, but the world's obsession with him might be the real test. Greatness can thrive in attention and will get swallowed by it. For now, he's walking that tightrope with confidence, flashing that signature calm smile under the blinding lights. Vinícius Jr, temperament. He plays football like it's personal. Every dribble, every celebration, every stare down carries emotion heavy enough to power a stadium floodlight. He came to Real Madrid as a skinny kid with raw speed and questionable finishing, but over time he turned into the club's lightning bolt, all flair, fury, and fireworks. The only thing faster than his footwork is the way his emotions flare when provoked. Opponents learned early that the best way to stop Vinícius wasn't always a tackle, it was a taunt. Rough challenges, words in his ear, or a little shove after the whistle could flip a switch. The crowd joins in, and suddenly it's not just a football match, it's a duel between him and the world. His talent makes him unplayable, his temperament makes him unpredictable. In Spain, that tension became national news. He's been racially abused from stands, booed by rival fans, and mocked by opponents who know he'll bite back. And yet, he keeps fighting, sometimes literally, with his voice, his body language, and his relentless style. The league's referees have had to adjust entire match protocols because of how often tempers boil around him. Carlo Ancelotti once said, "Vinícius has the soul of a fighter," and that's true, but even fighters need control. For every jaw-dropping goal, there's a moment where he argues with officials instead of tracking back. He's the kind of player who can destroy defenses one week and nearly get himself sent off the next. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, narcissism. This is the guy that narrates his own mythology. Every quote, goal, and eyebrow raise feels scripted by a man who truly believes he's the main character in the sport's history book. From Malmö to Milan, from LA to the San Siro, Zlatan carried himself like a walking headline generator. Reporters didn't even need to write metaphors, he provided them himself. "I can't help but laugh at how perfect I am," he once said. And the scary part is, he meant it. His confidence started early. At Ajax, teammates said he practiced kung fu kicks during training just to remind everyone who was boss. At Inter and Barcelona, he clashed with coaches who tried to tell him where to stand. Pep Guardiola called him impossible to manage, and Zlatan responded by calling Pep a philosopher who should stick to thinking. When most players get transferred, they say goodbye. Zlatan just announces, Zlatan came like a king, left like a legend. His narcissism became part of his armor. The arrogance was branding. When he joined LA Galaxy, his first message was a full-page ad. "Dear Los Angeles, you're welcome." That was marketing genius wrapped in self-belief. Even retirement couldn't mute him. During his farewell speech at Milan, he told the crowd, "I say goodbye to football, but not to you. You're welcome." It was pure Zlatan, poetic, absurd, and unforgettable. Sadio Mané, frustration. At Liverpool, he pressed, scored, and smiled through everything, even when others took the headlines. But behind that calm exterior was pressure building like steam in a kettle. For years, he carried Senegal's hopes, matched Salah's numbers, and rarely got the same shine. And eventually, that patience cracked. The story of Mané's frustration really surfaced in Munich. After leaving Liverpool, reportedly tired of being in someone else's shadow, he joined Bayern as the model professional. Then came the locker room explosion. Following a Champions League loss to Manchester City, Mané punched teammate Leroy Sané in the face during an argument. Bayern suspended him, fined him, and the world suddenly saw a different side. Not the humble hero, but a man who'd been biting his tongue for too long. Teammates said the tension had been growing for weeks. He was frustrated with his role, his minutes, and the club's atmosphere. The smile that once defined him became rarer. When the suspension hit, fans everywhere were stunned because this was Sadio, the soft-spoken star who built hospitals in his hometown and gave half his paycheck to charity. Eventually, Bayern cut ties and he found a new start in Saudi Arabia, but the story stuck, the image of a player who finally let emotion take the wheel. But, well, we all make mistakes. He is still loved. Jadon Sancho, attitude. At 19, he was lighting up Dortmund like a teenager playing FIFA on easy mode, stepovers, assists, swagger. England called him the next big thing, United called him home, and the Premier League called him expensive. €90 million later, Sancho arrived at Old Trafford ready to become the new face of English football. Then everything went sideways. At first it looked like adaptation issues, new club, new pressure, but soon whispers started. Missed training, clashes with coaches, too many distractions off the pitch. When Erik ten Hag publicly questioned his effort in 2023, Sancho didn't stay quiet. He hit tweet. The post accused his manager of lying and turned one bad comment into a public feud. From there, things spiraled. He was frozen out of the squad, removed from first-team facilities, and basically became a ghost haunting United's wage bill. Fans argued over who to blame, the manager's methods or the player's pride, but the story stayed the same. Sancho stopped listening. At Dortmund, he thrived under freedom. At United, he wanted the same while being asked for discipline. And when he didn't get it, the frustration turned to stubbornness. Talent was never Sancho's problem. His biggest fight is with the mirror, facing the version of himself that believed he didn't need to change. For a player once known for creativity, he's now stuck in the hardest puzzle of all, rebuilding his reputation. Ousmane Dembélé, injury. His career feels like a highlight reel trapped in a loading screen. Every time he explodes back into form, the universe presses pause. The French winger burst onto the scene at Borussia Dortmund, fast, fearless, and capable of breaking ankles on demand. Barcelona saw one season and dropped over €100 million to sign him in 2017, expecting the next Neymar. What they got was a lottery ticket that keeps getting ripped in half. Within months of arriving, his hamstring gave out. Then it happened again, and again. By 2020, he'd missed more matches through injury than he'd played. Reports said he struggled with recovery routines, sleeping habits, and nutrition early on. The club brought in private chefs, medical specialists, and even gaming curfews to get him back on track. He wasn't lazy, he just lived like a teenager who happened to earn millions and run faster than physics should allow. When he's fit, he's breathtaking. Two-footed dribbling, unpredictable movement, and speed that makes defenders look like they're buffering. But his body keeps rebelling. Each new muscle tweak feels like deja vu. Fans joke that the Dembélé comeback is a seasonal event. Every year promises a fresh start, and every season ends in a rehab video montage. He finally found some rhythm at Barcelona before moving to Paris Saint-Germain, where the story continues. Flashes of brilliance shadowed by cautious sprints and concerned glances at the bench. It's become part of his identity, the superstar who lives between recovery updates. Luckily, he had a great 2024/25 season with PSG, winning the treble. At the end, he won the Ballon d'Or. Interestingly, he received his award while he was out of the game due to injuries. Antony, over-dribbling. Since his arrival at Manchester United, he's been a player who divides opinion faster than he completes stepovers. The Brazilian winger came from Ajax with highlight clips full of tricks, curls, and swagger, the kind of stuff that made fans dream of Flair returning to Old Trafford. Then the Premier League reality check hit. Every time Antony gets the ball, it's like he's loading up a special move. Spin, cut inside, fake, repeat. Defenders have learned that sometimes you don't even need to tackle him. You just wait for him to dribble himself into traffic. Fans started joking that his right foot only exists for balance. Critics pointed to the same pattern. Fancy touches, zero end product. The infamous 360 spin moment against Sheriff Tiraspol summed him up perfectly. He did a full spin, passed the ball out of play, and got subbed at halftime. Erik ten Hag defended him, saying it was confidence. Others called it clownery. Either way, the move went viral, turning Antony into both meme and mystery. At Ajax, his flair worked because space existed. At United, every fullback presses like their contract depends on it. His over-dribbling slows attacks and frustrates teammates who make runs for passes that never arrive. Even his finishing has become predictable. The same left foot curler that worked once in 10 tries. Still, there's raw talent under the chaos. When he times it right, especially now at Betis, the spin turns into rhythm, and that left foot can slice through defenses like glass. But his biggest challenge is learning that sometimes the most skillful move is the simple one. Lamine Yamal, PR. He is barely old enough to drive, yet his name already trends like he's a seasoned veteran. Every goal, assist, or even warm-up drill gets packaged into a social media clip with dramatic music and captions like, "The next Messi has arrived." At just 18, he's already a brand, a marketing dream wrapped in teenage nerves and left-footed magic. Barcelona's PR machine saw it coming early. They plastered him across promos, interviews, and every platform possible, painting him as the savior of the post-Messi era. And it worked. He's calm, confident, and media ready. But there's a fine line between promotion and pressure, and Yamal walks it every single week. One poor performance and the same media that crowned him starts questioning his hype. He's already got sponsorship deals most veterans dream of, has appeared in glossy campaigns, and is constantly compared to legends who played before he was born. It's the modern football cycle. One viral clip equals a week of headlines. Even his post before matches, a cryptic emoji, a training photo, spark online debates about what he'll do next. It's PR genius, but it also keeps him under a microscope. Ansu Fati. Pressure. His story started like a fairy tale. A kid from Guinea-Bissau who arrived in Spain, joined Barcelona's academy, and debuted for the first team before most teenagers finished their driving lessons. He became the youngest goal scorer in Barca's history, then the youngest to score in the Champions League. Overnight, the headlines wrote themselves, "The next Messi has arrived." That's where the fairy tale started turning into a burden. When Lionel Messi left, Barcelona handed Fati the sacred number 10 shirt, a gesture that felt both symbolic and cruel. Imagine being 18 and inheriting the jersey that defined an entire era. Every touch, every miss, every substitution became a referendum on whether he could carry the weight of Camp Nou's expectations. The pressure was constant and his body began to crack under it. Multiple injuries followed, serious ones that kept him sidelined for months at a time. Each comeback was hyped like a resurrection, each setback dissected like a tragedy. The fans wanted the prodigy from 2019, but Fati was still recovering, mentally and physically, from everything he'd already carried. Currently on loan at Monaco, he is redeeming himself with 6 goals in 5 matches. Darwin Nunes, finishing. When Liverpool signed him from Benfica, the hype was enormous. He was billed as the next great striker of the Klopp era. Strong, fast, fearless. Then came the finishing, or rather the finishing attempts that ended up closer to corner flags than goalposts. His biggest problem isn't effort. He runs like he's being chased by rent collectors. It's composure. Inside the box, he can turn a perfect chance into a physics experiment. One game, he'll chip the keeper like a seasoned poacher. The next, he'll send the ball into low Earth orbit. Fans started calling him Chaos FC. Not as an insult, but as a warning label. You never quite know what version of him you're getting. Still, there's something magnetic about him. Even when he misses, the crowd can't look away. His energy pulls defenders out of position and forces mistakes. He creates chances through pure panic. The issue is consistency, that final touch that separates the wild from the world class. When he's confident, he looks unstoppable. When he's not, every shot feels like a gamble. Klopp defended him, saying he's still adapting, learning to calm down in front of goal. And there's truth to that. Darwin's numbers, goals, assists, XG, show a player always almost there. The frustration comes from how close he gets to brilliance every single week. At Al Hilal, let's see how he will perform. And that's it. If you enjoyed the video, you'll surely love this one.